Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this presentation this evening. Delighted to see you here at Peking University. For many of you, this will be perhaps a new place. For some of you, it may be a familiar place. If it's new, welcome to the campus. If it's where you graduated from or you're used to it, welcome back. It's my great pleasure tonight to talk to you about the MBA program here in BiMBA. The decision to do an MBA and where to do an MBA is a non-trivial decision. It's an important decision in your life. It's maybe not as important as who you're going to marry, but it's certainly up there among the decisions that you'll make, in the sense that it involves considerable investment, not only of money, but of time and of commitment in various ways. So what we would like to do tonight is to talk to you about the particular features of our program in order that we can help you make a decision about whether to do an MBA and where to do it. I hope that by the end of this evening you are persuaded that our program is a very important and influential program in China, and I'm sure that the testimonials that will be given about their experiences here by my colleagues who are now graduates of this program will be important information to you. I will not, I should say at the beginning, be able to be here for the entire evening. I have spent the day teaching the part-time 2011 students, and I will be teaching them tomorrow, so I will not wait until the end of the session this evening. But I should say at the outset that if any of you have any questions that you would like to direct to me particularly, please feel free to do so by emailing me or phoning me, and my details can be given to you by Mary or found on the website. So let me take you through the particular features of our program here at BiMBA. So I've got control. All right. Okay. So where are we? Okay, so the first thing to say, of course, is that we are here at BiMBA, which, by all accounts, certainly among foreigners, is the premier university in China. No question about that. It's, of course, well known around the world and is a very distinguished university. We describe it here as a dreaming school, as China's Harvard, in the sense that this is a place where people come to share ideas. You undoubtedly know the history of Peking University and its traditions, and it has always been a place which is renowned for pushing the boundaries of knowledge and investigation. It has a very, very rich history. It's a comprehensive university, of course, covering many disciplines, including the ones here. There are many people who, of course, come here to visit from overseas and grace this place with their presence, but are delighted to do so. So, as you probably know, many prime ministers of Great Britain, many presidents of the United States have been on the campus here and given lectures, and perhaps even more important than presidents and prime ministers, people like Bill Gates. You'll be surprised at how many people do come to visit. I was sitting in my office, which is only a few meters away from this building, about a year ago, and looked out my window and saw Mark Zuckerberg, who was walking around. So he has now displaced, I think, Bill Gates as the richest man in the world, probably, and he was here taking a look at the facilities. And I was really quite astounded to see him dressed very casually and wandering around observing the facilities here. It's a university that's distinguished in many ways, and one of those is by the depth of its knowledge base. And the university library, which I've now just obliterated here, has the biggest book collection of all universities in Asia. This is the largest university library in all of Asia. There is, of course, a significant university hall where graduation ceremonies are held, where there are performances of various kinds. And if you walk by there during the day, you'll undoubtedly see advertisements for many different activities which are being undertaken there. Going backwards now, sorry. It's been a long day. The university gymnasium you undoubtedly recognise as being the gymnasium that was used during the Olympic Games in 2008 for the table tennis, was it not?
Yeah.
Table tennis, yes. Table tennis was held in that particular place. This has got a mind of its own there. Yeah, so it's a very interesting facility and means that we have lots of activities going on there. There are all sorts of facilities, of course, on the campus. So this is like a small city, really, in many respects. There are many people, of course, who study here and live here. Undergraduate students in particular live in halls of residence and so forth. And they are catered for by banks and ATM machines, supermarkets. There are flea markets, lots of bookstores, dining halls and fast food. If you want to eat cheaply on this campus, no problem. There are many places where you can eat very good food at very reasonable prices. There is a hospital, post office, transportation ticket office, and laundry, among other things. There's even a bathhouse. So you can go and have a bath in the bathhouse if you want. We, of course, are located in the northeast part of the campus, in one corner, very close to the Summer Palace, really, geographically. And this part of the university, in fact, this garden, was originally a residence of a prince in the Qing dynasty. So it dates back about 250 years. And the room in which we're sitting dates back, I'm not sure that it dates back exactly to 250 years, but a very long time ago. And the room next to us on the other side, which is a meeting room, a smaller room than this, holds a very important place in Chinese history. About 100 years ago, there were very important meetings being held in there of military leaders in China. So, as I said there, it used to be a meeting venue for cabinet ministers and officials, and I think is the most interesting and beautiful part of the campus, which overall is a very beautiful campus, of course. It has modern offices and classrooms in these ancient buildings. This is the main MBA classroom for the full-time program. The part-time classes are held sometimes in this room, sometimes in a very large room where I was teaching today, in a building about 100 metres further down, and sometimes in other places around the campus, depending upon what's being taught and so forth. But the rooms that we have here work very well. This is an exceptionally good room in which to teach, I have to say. You will not, perhaps most of you at least, have seen this part of the campus in all seasons, but this is really one of the most beautiful places to be working because you do really see, where is it? You really do see, I'll put it down, all four seasons of Beijing in this place. So it's particularly beautiful in winter, in spring, of course, with blossom. At all times of the year, this is a really delightful part of the campus. The program, it's important, of course, where you study, and I don't underestimate that. I've worked in many business schools around the world, and some of them are very nice places to study and work, and others less so. And I say this not as a public relations exercise, but I have to say sincerely that this is the best place that I've ever worked in terms of location for working. When I was a dean at a previous school, I had an office which was about maybe 6-8 times bigger than my current office. I have now a small office. I much prefer my office here because I look out on a courtyard and I feel as though I'm part of history here. And I mean that most sincerely. You get a really warm feeling working in these surroundings. There's something special about studying here in this environment. Of course, it's very important to you not just the physical facilities and the feeling of where you're studying, but what this degree will lead to. And by any objective analysis, ranking analysis, this is a very good program. The rankings, as you know, are done by different organizations. Some of them are Chinese, some of them are international organizations. They need to be looked at with a somewhat critical eye, I would say. I don't take rankings as truth cast in stone. They are a picture at a certain time taken by the ranking agency. However, you should look for consistency in rankings. Sometimes schools go up, they go down a bit, but are they consistently rated pretty well? That's the way you should look at rankings. Don't focus on whether it was 5th, 6th, 7th. See where it was, generally speaking. And if you look at those rankings for MBA programs in China, you will find consistently that there are about 4 top-rated programs in China. And to be honest, and I speak directly as a foreigner is more likely to do, many of the other programs do not deserve your consideration. If you can get into one of those top 4 programs, that's where you should go. Because it leaves a kind of mark on your forehead. It's a bit like being a graduate of BiMBA. If you graduate from here, then you get a mark on your forehead which says that you graduated from Peking University. That's worth something. You need to be sure that wherever you get your degree from has a good reputation. And all I can say to you about this is that the reputation of the BiMBA program has been well established over a long period of time. So whether it's number 1, whether it's number 2, 3, whatever, is not really the point, because as I said, the rankings will go up and down. But is it consistently among the best? And yes. And the 4 or so programs which are consistently rated the best in China are always those 4. They may change their position a little bit, but they're all basically in the running. So the question for you really is what considerations would you make about that, and how would you then make an assessment of this program as against others? And so some of the slides that we have here are designed to show that. I think one thing we can say for sure, and one thing which I can say as an instructor in this program and as the international dean, is that the caliber of students here is very high. And this is not in any way to diminish the caliber of the full-time program, but my own assessment is that the quality of the part-time program is exceptionally high. And I have taught in many programs, as I said, in many different countries, and I would say that the caliber of students in the part-time program is really very, very high, and rates with virtually anywhere that I have taught. The full-time program is good too. As I said, I'm by no means suggesting that it's not, but it has a different character, as full-time programs do from part-time programs. And the reason for that is the motivation for people doing their degree. People who take time out to do a full-time program are usually in a career-changing position, and they're usually moving in some way significantly, so they take that time out specifically full-time to do an MBA. Part-time people, less so. So there's a different kind of character to it. We describe ourselves as an MBA with a heart. Now, it's interesting. Yesterday I was doing a Skype interview with somebody in the United States, and I was asking them, why do you want to do, what particularly attracted you to the BiMBA program? And this person specifically mentioned this feature. They said that they had seen this program described as an MBA with a heart. What does it mean? It means that we're not just about crunching numbers here. We're actually about creating a community. A community, of course, focused on learning and on developing your skills so that you can re-enter the workforce in a much better position, but also a community where we care for one another. One of the things that I particularly like about this program, having worked in much larger schools before, is that it is relatively small. And so the feeling that you get here, and it sounds a little bit hackneyed or a little bit too sweet, but the feeling that you have here is that this is a more family environment. I think that's one of the things that differentiates our program from many other programs, not just in China but in some other places, because of the relatively small classes and the relatively small nature of the program overall. You get much closer to one another and you get much closer to the teaching staff. And so while in many schools I would say it's more factory-like. You come in, you're processed, you go out. This is actually a warmer, closer environment. I think that is a differentiating feature. And I think the fact that it's described as an MBA with a heart can be interpreted in many ways, but one of the ways in which that is exemplified is by the fact that in the full-time program in particular, but the part-time program as well, the student body often develops activities that are focused on doing extra work outside of class that has a charitable function. In other words, there have been endeavours made in previous years and indeed again in this year to link with orphanages, for example. Do good work in the community. And so we are encouraging that kind of notion. This is not a place that is just a cold-hearted place where you come to crunch the numbers and sail off and earn lots of money. We hope you do, and we expect that you will. But we also want to develop in you a sense of good values and the notion that we are privileged, you and I, to be well educated and to have these opportunities. And so this is an environment in which we say, yes, develop yourself, get your MBA, but also think of yourself as part of your wider community in all senses. And so that's why I think this notion of MBA with a heart is one that we do take very seriously. BiMBA, I think, gives many insights into China. This is one of our distinctive features. The origins of BiMBA are in the China Center for Economic Research. And as I'm sure all of you know, the China Center for Economic Research was set up by a group of distinguished Chinese economists, but in particular by Justin Lin, who said that we want a program here that is allied to the other activities that we do in the China Center for Economic Research. What does that mean in practical terms as a differentiating feature? It means that when you come to BiMBA, you are surrounded here, literally, by offices containing the best economics minds in China. By any analysis, this is the premier economic think tank in China. No question. Full stop. And so, as you know, Professor Lin is returning from the World Bank, where he is the chief economist and senior vice president of the World Bank, coming back here. But while he is our best known economist, there are a number of very distinguished economists. Again, what does that mean? It means that what we've got here is a lot of focus on China. The origins of this were not just a business school. They were a business school that was located in a very China-focused center. And so people who come here get an appreciation for these things in relation to China that, honestly speaking, cannot be rivaled by any other business school in China. Because that is where our focus came. Our focus came from there and did not come from a kind of Western-oriented business school which was just plonked into Peking University. It's a different kind of orientation. So all of those things mean that you will get to understand not just the Chinese economy, but that's very important. As Professor Lin says, management skills are not enough. We have to understand the institutional environment in which MBA graduates will operate. And a large part of that environment is the economy of China and the political structures and so forth, all of the institutional arrangements that exist here. But we also have people, of course, who are teaching cross-cultural skills, who are talking about marketing in China, and a whole range of other things that are China-specific. So the education that you get here is very relevant to China. That attracts not only Chinese students, of course, but also foreign students who want to be much better prepared to operate in this environment. There is a global network that we are hooked into here, and I will explain this further in a moment, but essentially we have two major affiliates, as it were, collaborators, and I say we speaking as a BiMBA person, but in fact I'm employed by this school here, which is the Leuven Ghent Management School. I'm not Belgian, as you might gather by my accent. I'm actually an Australian. But that's the degree-granting institution for the MBA. Fordham University was the university with which BiMBA originally collaborated in this respect. It's located in New York City, and it is affiliated to BiMBA through particularly through the Masters of Science in Global Finance. So one of the things that you can do, and which many people are doing in conjunction with their MBA, is a follow-on Masters in Global Finance. One of the key features of this, and I'll come again to it in a moment, is that you get a second degree. You get 2 master's degrees for not much more than the price of one. I know that sounds like a kind of supermarket advertisement, but it's true. So that is a particularly strong feature again of the program, I think. This was a pioneering international MBA program in China, and it was established in 1998 as the first joint MBA program in Beijing. As I said, it was previously part of CCER, China Center for Economic Research, but about 3 years ago, the CCER became incorporated under another institution, newly created, an umbrella organization known as the National School of Development. And as you, particularly, and I can see that most people here are Chinese, as you will appreciate, creating national schools and universities is a very significant event. So this received, I believe, the highest level stamp, as it were, for its creation. So now we are part of what is known as the National School of Development. So this dates back to the origins of the program. You can see Professor Lin there and some other people, distinguished visitors. So there we are, the founding institution, CCER National School of Development, and there are some of our most famous professors, starting with Professor Lin there, Zhou Ren, and various others down through here. I should say that these are people who, as part of their activities, are regularly as in biannually, advising people like Geithner, the Treasury Secretary in the United States. So people like Leuven and others go to Washington to brief these people. These are very distinguished academics, no question about it. So there we have it, Peking University as the overarching organization, the National School of Development, the umbrella organization created about 3 years ago for all of our activities here, various research centers which are looking into many aspects, particularly of economics issues clearly, and then the teaching programs which at the graduate level for MBAs are here in BiMBA, and comprising the full-time MBA, the part-time MBA, the EMBA, and then a number of executive development programs that we run as well. So you can see that it's part of a comprehensive range of programs, including undergraduate programs. So there we are, that's us, BiMBA, over there. The partner school, as I mentioned, in Europe is the Leuven Ghent Management School. It's rather a mouthful to say, and this name is actually being changed later this year to something rather simpler. You may not know much about Belgium or this school, but Belgium is in the heart of Europe. You know that that's where the European Union is located, in Brussels, right? The two bits here, Leuven and Ghent, are cities in Belgium. And Leuven University, KU Leuven, is one of the oldest universities in Europe. I think it's maybe the third oldest university. Dates back to the 1400s. The University of Ghent, also a very old university. So these two universities are the hosts of this school, in a sense. They're the parent organisations under which Vlerick operates. The accreditations that the school has are unusual in the sense that there are very few schools in the world which have all three accreditations. AACSB, which originated in the United States, but which is the major accrediting body for business schools. I attended a meeting of theirs on Wednesday here. It was held at the Shangri-La Hotel. So that's a very important accrediting body. Equus is the European equivalent. And so these two organisations in particular are the two accrediting bodies that make sure that the schools that carry their stamp meet the requirements for membership. And I can tell you that those criteria are very strict. You don't buy your way in to one of these. You actually have to demonstrate that you are meeting quality standards in order to be a business school which has those affiliations, those accreditations. This is the British one as well. So some organisations have one or other of these, some have both, and very few have all three. In The Economist, in 2009, this program, the Vlerick School, I should say, was ranked in the top 10 worldwide for full-time MBAs. You hear of Harvard, you hear of Wharton, and so on and so forth. Of course, those are very important, distinguished schools. Here is a much smaller school, but of very high quality. I think that's the way I would describe it. And I can say that I only began working for them when I started working for BiMBA. So I don't have a long affiliation with them. But I can say that in my view they are a top school. In the Financial Times 2011, the Vlerick programs were rated third in the world as value for money. So they're considered to be very good education at a very reasonable price. Location, yes, there is now a Brussels campus as well. This is the headquarters of the EU in Brussels here. That's not the school, actually. The partner school in the United States, as I mentioned, is Fordham University, established in 1841. Business school opened in 1969, located downtown right next to the Lincoln Center in Manhattan. And if you know New York, this is a superb location. If you like classical music, it's where the New York Philharmonic plays. So you can go a very short distance from the Lincoln Center to the school, or from the school to the Lincoln Center. Of course, New York is a world capital of global business, and of course a major financial center, along with a couple of other cities in the world. The school, the graduate school at Fordham, was ranked very highly in relation to finance specialties. And I think if people do that degree, that second degree, they really do get, as I said before, great value for money. The programs here, of course, vary in length depending upon whether you're doing the full-time or the part-time MBA. The full-time MBA takes a year and a half, and the part-time program takes 2 years. The language of instruction, as you're aware, is English. I think that there are very good reasons for doing your program in English. There are, of course, Chinese language programs that you can do. I speak as somebody who is obviously not Chinese and who's lived in many countries. I'm fortunate in a sense, in one way, in having English as my first language. In other ways, I'm unfortunate because I think many people who study English as a second language get much better grounding in many different ways. English speakers very often are monolingual, because everyone else speaks English. But it's very important, if you're a Chinese student and you're seeking to do an MBA, to have sufficient English language skills that you can operate anywhere in the world. And so doing your MBA here, I think, in fact I'm sure, and the comment has been made in my class last weekend, I think, that you can see steady improvement in people's English. Of course you have to have a sufficiently high level of English to get in, but you will see steady improvement because you'll be studying in English. And that is a very, very good means of enhancing not only your knowledge of management and your skills as a manager, but also your language skills. The age difference is not that large, slightly higher in the part-time program. The full-time program is the most diversified group by nationality. There are about 30% international students. The part-time program has relatively few international students. I think of the people I'm teaching at the moment, there are maybe less than 10 who are international students. But most of the people are working, but it's the most professional of the group, right? Almost by definition. About 70% of the people doing the part-time program are working for multinationals, but a significant number are also working for state-owned enterprises. It's very interesting. I teach organizational behavior, among other things, and it's very interesting. We are often making distinctions between organizational cultures as to whether people are in multinationals or whether they're in state-owned enterprises. So giving a nuanced view about what is required to be an effective manager in either one. I said to Mary, I think we have to change this photograph of me. I think I look better than that photograph. I hope you agree. No, you don't have to agree. Yeah, so here are some of our faculty members, drawn from different places. Zhang Yang, Chinese, Yang Yao, Chinese, Dirk Burns from Belgium, an American, an Irishman, an American Chinese, an Iranian, and a graduate of Peking University, Sean Chen, who teaches an excellent course in statistics. One of the things I want to say to you about this is that the emphasis we put on this program, unashamedly, is teaching excellence. At the AACSB meeting that I referred to, that I went to last Wednesday, the focus was on research. So we had a lot of deans there from business schools around China, from all around China, and we were talking about research and how the research component of what business schools do has to be sufficient to get the AACSB accreditation. But the question was, how does research feed into teaching? And I said, well, it feeds in various ways, but I said, I want to make this point, that at least in our program, the emphasis is not upon the research. The research, of course, informs the teaching. It should inform the teaching. But the most important thing is teaching excellence. Teaching excellence. When we hire people to teach here, we pay very close attention to whether they are good teachers or not, based on the evaluations that you make. We make our evaluations. As the International Dean, I'm required to make an evaluation of the performance of people. However, you are the people who will decide, essentially, whether faculty get hired back. Why? Because we want to be sure that these people are delivering to you things which are of value. So I can tell you, without any hyperbole, without any exaggeration, that you will not get better teachers in China than you get here. If you go to some other schools, and I'm not certainly going to diminish their importance, because there are, as I said, a few other schools that are very good, what you find is people often get hired into the university on the basis of many things, their research and so forth. All of the people who are here are outstanding researchers, but that's not enough. In other words, we don't hire people in here for their research excellence. Of course, in the China Center for Economic Research, that's maybe the most important criterion. But in the BiMBA teaching program, the critical thing is teaching excellence. Immodestly, in a very non-Chinese way, I would say I'm not a bad teacher, based on ratings. But whether I'm not or not, I'm confronted by a bunch of other people here who are also outstanding teachers, right? So I like to think I'm a good teacher, but I know that there are very few people who I've worked with who are better teachers of statistics than Sean Chen, who, you know, just a master at teaching what could otherwise be a boring subject. All of these people. This guy here, Andy Tsai, teaches operations management. It sounds awfully boring to me, you know. I'm interested in people. It sounds very mechanical. This guy, I think you'd agree, outstanding teacher. Just, you know, absolutely outstanding. So that's where we put our emphasis. The emphasis in this program is upon teaching excellence. I, at the end of the day, don't care whether they've published any articles in top-tier journals in the last few years, but I do want to know that they are very good teachers. The MBA class, well, these are, I suppose, somewhat posed photographs, but most people are happy. This guy is an American, this woman is Chinese, some of these are too obscure. This guy is Italian, and then we have several Chinese students here. What can I tell you about them? Well, these people will tell you about them, because they're part of them, right? So they can tell you about the class. There are lots of MBA courses that you are required to do here, and some electives. I'm not going to talk to you about each of those, that would be exceedingly boring. But you can see that this is a standard, comprehensive MBA program. It's a general management program. Sometimes people say, do you think I should do an MBA in marketing? To which my response is, there's no such thing as an MBA brackets marketing. If you want to do a degree in marketing, do a Masters of Management brackets marketing or a Master of Marketing. An MBA, when it was devised, was designed to provide you with a comprehensive range of subjects that you would need to study that are relevant to your being a manager. And that's what we have here, a general management degree. There's no such thing either as an MBA brackets finance, an MBA brackets whatever. There's no brackets here because it's an MBA. You don't find a bracket around any MBA from a top school in the world. And if you do, it's not really an MBA, it's a specialised master's degree. We give you a comprehensive, broadly based education in management, which we know is relevant to what you will do and what you're doing now. I say to my students in my course, who, as I mentioned, I'm teaching this weekend in organisational behaviour, you should be able to go to work on Monday morning and start applying what we are talking about on Saturday and Sunday. And if you can't, then there's something wrong with the course, because it should be highly relevant to what you're doing. So, yeah, a whole range of subjects then that incorporate all the major areas that you would expect to find in any MBA. I will mention this particular component because this is a bit different, and it's called the In-Company Consultancy Project. This for part-time students is optional, and for full-time students is compulsory. For the full-time students, they do it in teams. The part-time students do it individually. This can be... I've lost the top, but anyway, it will come back. Thanks. This can be a very useful part of what you do in your degree. This is where you're in fact putting all of this to bear on a particular problem that a company is facing. And that is different, and let me say that in a comprehensive report of management education, which was published by some Harvard professors about 18 months ago, that's what they are now recommending that students at the Harvard Business School do. And you've probably seen this in the press. Students are actually going to be given money to go out and do some of this stuff. Okay, so any detailed questions about the curriculum, I'm sure our graduates would be happy to answer for you. Well, these are just some of the people who come here. I've never been in an institution, and I've been in some pretty good ones, but in a school, that is, I've been in a larger institution, different, where we've had so many distinguished visitors. There is a regular procession of very important people who come through this place. They come here specifically because of its reputation. Largely, I have to say, in economics, no question. It would be dishonest to say that wasn't the primary reason. But they come here, George Soros, one of the richest men in the world, the director of West Point Military Academy, the premier military academy in the United States, with whom we have an affiliation. Robert Zoellick, the president of the World Bank, Timothy Geithner, Treasury Secretary, and so on, Nobel Prize winner here. So lots of these people coming through on a regular basis and providing lectures. It's very useful to avail yourself of the opportunity, really, to meet some of these people. I think it's very few universities provide you with that opportunity. Top universities around the world do. But that's something that you should take advantage of while you're here. And again, practitioners as well, who come onto the campus and speak to graduates. And I think that, again, that's a measure of the importance of this place and the seriousness with which people take it. Lots of stuff on economics, of course. There are regular meetings held here which deal with matters related to the Chinese economy. And beyond that, things that are engaging people across a whole range of subject areas will also be covered here. So there's the kind of degree certificate you'll get, and there are the accreditations that we have. And I've been through this already, the accreditations of the school, and a further mention of the second degree program, the Masters of Science in Global Finance. Undertaken in New York in the summer period, so you can go off during the summer and do some of the courses here, but you do the others in New York. And it's done in a condensed fashion so that you don't need to go for a very long time, and at a time which is convenient for most people. So there's the curriculum for the Masters of Science in General Finance. You can see people from both here and from Fordham, and you can see the subjects that are dealt with there. Particular emphasis, as the name would imply, on global finance. And we've been through that as well, mentioning Fordham University. You'll hear from our graduates, but I think that many of those who have done the master's degree in global finance have found that very valuable. And I think that the organizations who have recruited those people have found the experience very valuable as well. You are not primarily here international students, but we do put a lot of emphasis into making sure that international students who come mainly for the full-time program are accommodated, taken care of. So there's a bunch of people, Philippines, Italy, Indonesia, I can't actually see everybody, South Africa, behind the glasses I'm not sure, Malaysia, Brazil, US I think, US, Switzerland, and so forth. So a wide range of different places. There is a summer school, again I won't spend very long on that because it won't be relevant to most of you, but students who are coming in internationally are given the opportunity to undertake a summer school before their program starts in August. And they receive various lectures that are related to China. They go on a field study and they do various sightseeing tours and so on. This is, I think, a very strong feature of our program. So if you are talking to potential international students, this is something to inform them about. This is the best value for money program that I know, honestly. It's a relatively cheap and gives people an incredibly good insight into China straight off. So here's somebody cycling, an American student who now lives in Europe, cycling along the city wall in Xi'an. And here are some, correct. interesting activities. So, a bunch of things undertaken, right? The in-depth understanding of China done in various ways, including language courses for people. I know I'm running a bit close to time there, so almost there. So one of the things that I think we do particularly well here is we have a career service. These people are very active in searching for career opportunities for individuals in the program. One of the things that I say is that we can't promise you a job. No school in the world can promise you a job. But what every school has an obligation to do, and which we do very assiduously, is we help you look for jobs if you want them. Now that's more important for the full-time candidates than it is for the part-time candidates, but there are a lot of activities undertaken by the Careers Office in respect of self-understanding, awareness of marketing, awareness of the market, networking, specific career skill training, and the organisation of recruitment events and so forth that help put people in touch with potential employers. And there are a lot of modules. I think one of the things that is very valuable, most students find very valuable, is the mentorship program. There are a number of mentors who individually mentor students through their program. An executive coaching program, so that there is coaching available for students, one-on-one career counselling, industry lectures and company visits, internships, and the ICP, which I mentioned earlier. So again, some, spelling out of all of that, including some of these things may seem quite mundane, but resume talking, actually getting your resume in a position where it looks good. So this is all by way of helping you project yourself into the market post-MBA time. There's some pretty healthy salaries of those people who graduate. So of the people who graduated in 2009, there are the means, the median, and the range of salaries. And I have to tell you that this person is earning more than me. And I'm pleased. There are some very good success stories. Again, we can't guarantee you a salary any more than we can guarantee you a job. All we can do is give you the best possible MBA education that we can, and choose people who we believe have the potential, which is one of the things that we do when we're recruiting people, and then send you off into the market. Economic conditions and many other factors will determine the number of jobs that might be available to you and so forth, and what salaries will be paid. But I don't think we can do any more than that, and I think we can say that our track record in this respect is very good. This is a little bit too detailed to go into in at any length, but you can see that people go into a variety of different positions. Most of them, by virtue of the fact that they're part-time students, stay in the Beijing area. Some go off to Shanghai. There's a portion of people who go internationally and so forth, and they go into a variety of industries and a variety of functions, as you can see. And most students get their job through BiMBA. About 68% of students find their job through BiMBA rather than independent. There's an alumni service, so that after you graduate from here, we keep in touch with you, and that is also very important. I think it's very important in the Chinese context for the networking opportunities in particular. We take the idea of lifelong learning seriously. There's the opportunity for networking, as I've mentioned, the idea of MBA with a heart, and so forth, and career development. So this is something that is an ongoing feature of our program. And we have fun. I think you'd agree that this program also students in this program have a lot of fun. We work hard, but we also play hard, and we try to make teaching fun as well. This should not be dry, boring stuff. This should be stuff that engages you, that gets you thinking, and which really, spurs you along, and that's what we try to do. So there are lots of things. Yeah, there are alumni forum, there are wine tasting things, there are study tours that you can do, and there are all kinds of outings and so forth that are available for you. Last night I spoke to some students this morning, turned up at class, I said, "You're looking a little bit tired." Well, we were partying last night, so there's quite a lot of partying that goes on here as well. Right? Yeah. So, our uniqueness, we're a top-ranked MBA program. That's unambiguous. That's irrefutable. By any objective analysis, we are a top-ranked MBA program, without doubt. We're in the best universities. Those of you who are graduates from Tsinghua may disagree with that. But certainly the best known university in China and a world-class university. That counts for something seriously. We have a particular focus on China, and I think nobody emerges from here without better insights into China and a better understanding of the way that China works. And I include in that category people who are from the PRC. In other words, not just foreigners, but I think even Chinese students who undertake this program go out with an enhanced understanding of this institutional environment and what it takes to make things work here. There is world recognition for the program, no question about that either. We're in a unique campus environment here. This is different. This is different. You will go to more modern schools. I've worked in very modern schools. I prefer working here. Seriously. Because here, as I said, education is about more than just fancy facilities. Education is not about primarily fancy facilities. They're nice, but I like the fact that I have to leave my courtyard room and walk down outside in winter with my coat on to go and see my colleagues. Seriously, I like that because it makes me feel different. It makes me feel I'm alive. It makes me feel that this place is important, and it is. So, that's it from me. I wish you good luck in all respects. I wish you good luck in making your choices. I know that you have some difficult choices to make. Many of you will be blessed with the opportunity to go to not just here, but to other places. So I wish you well in making your choices. It's not easy, but I'm sure you'll come to a decision which you think is in your best interests. I certainly hope that you give us serious consideration, and I can assure you that if you do come here, we will do everything we can to make sure that you leave here with a first-rate education and with an experience that will leave an imprint on you for the rest of your life, a positive imprint. Thank you very much.